Welcome to Democracy-ish. I'm exhausted and I'm Danielle Moody.
And I'm Wajat Ali, and I'm exhausted, and I look like Danielle's uncle. I look like I'm a 72-year-old man that she just brought from Karachi and said, like, sit here and do this podcast with me. We're folks, right before we pressed live, Danielle was like, I have aged. I felt like that Titanic meme
Yes,
where that she says, it's been 80 years. And
yeah.
it's only been 10 months, and all of this could have been avoided. All of it could have been avoided. And I was talking to Danielle right before we press record. I'm like, Danielle, do they still think that we're crazy? And the reason why I asked her that, Danielle, is we've been doing this for 3.5 years.
Yep.
And, people accused us of having Trump derangement syndrome. A lot of people who are moderate, a lot of people who are just fellow Americans, family members, watch, no, it'll be fine. The center will hold. The institution will be okay. There are guardrails. It'll be okay. And then I said, it won't be okay. You don't understand what these people are capable of. I spent the last 10 years studying them, following them. You just don't understand how complicit corporations will be, how the institutions are weak, how the establishment will buckle. And now we're 10 months in, Danielle, and I've said this a lot, and I feel like I get no joy from I told you so. Like there's none.
No, I think that I have never wanted to be more wrong than, and would be happy to have been proven wrong over the last several months, that we were being hysterical. Look, it's just this more of the same of the first administration, but it's not. It's wildly different. It's wildly dangerous. These people are sociopathic. They are also idiots, which I think you can't probably get a more dangerous combination of cruel and stupid than you see right now. And, on top of it, we start out today, folks, and I think that, like, again, people wanted to shrug off Bannon for a while and say, like, oh, Bannon, he's just crazy, this, that, and the other thing. And he's the architect. And I played this yesterday on the Danielle Moody Show. I'll play it, Waj, here, and then I want to get like your reactions to this interview, because I think it was wildly transparent.
Yep.
And I want to get your thoughts on why it was so wildly transparent, as opposed to how Bannon has navigated in the past. Let's see. Hold on, because I always have an issue with playing the video. Give me 1 second, dear friends. Here we go.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president in 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off. We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time, we will make sure we go through Zanny and define all those terms.
Okay? But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it. And to those
Can the American people, if the American people, with the mechanisms we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up?
Well,
would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all. Trump
That's what it sounds like.
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no.
I guess that's why
on his
it seems to me
on
some
his
kind
policy.
of tension
First
there.
off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people. Okay? And the will of the American people is what the Constitution embodies. And so I think we're going to be in good hands there. We need to finish what we started. And President Trump is the instrument, a providential instrument to finish this job.
Waj?
We told you. We've been telling you for years. What more do you need to hear? And still you're going to have people say, I don't know. He's just talking. Oh, economic anxiety. That was beautiful. I'm so glad you played the entire clip.
Mm-hmm.
Because it shows you the brain of not just Bannon, but also MAGA.
Right.
MAGA voters, Stephen Miller, Russell Vought, Elon Musk. It doesn't matter. Each one of them, there's a Christian nationalist, there's a white nationalist, there's just a fraudster, bro-oligarch who wants control. At the end of the day, they all want power. At the end of the day, they all want money. At the end of the day, they all want one version of white supremacy. Trump is their instrument that they will use. Now, you use the word divine. We have said for years, and I've always tried to bring this up, that the justification for Trump, right? A lot of people are asking, well, how do all these Christians, 70 to 80% of white evangelical Christians, white Catholics, how do they justify this? And they say Donald Trump is used by God as an imperfect instrument. And they said he's like the Persian pagan king Cyrus, who was pagan, but nonetheless, God used him to help his cause. So that's where you get the religious angle. Then you get the whole angle of Constitution. What Constitution? It's like Play-Doh. Isn't the Constitution what the majority of people want? Wait, what? I've never seen that as the originalist interpretation, but that's just like the Supreme Court. We're going to just feel it out. We're going to do what we want. And then he's openly telling you that, yeah, he is going to run again. And not only that, he's going to be president again in 2028 if he's alive. And then I want you all to see the reason why it's open now is, I was talking to someone yesterday about this, the video game culture of how it's radicalizing people online. It's all about winning, pawning, owning, right? Now that they have power, Danielle, if you've noticed, they're very arrogant. Stephen Miller, Pam Bondi, Donald Trump. We're going to do this, and what are you going to do to stop us? We won. Now what, right? So there's an arrogance now involved where they're revealing the plot. Now, the question that I have is, you and I have known this. We have said this on Democracy Fish, and we were called crazy. Now you have him literally admitting it, folks. So all the establishment hacks, all the moderates, the centrists, the timid Democrats, the adults in the room, Republicans, corporate media that refuses to use the word racist and white supremacy. Now what? How do you spin this, Danielle?
I mean, I think that that's what's so incredibly important. And this is what I've said about the sane washing with regard to Donald Trump over the last 10 years, is that if you just listen to him, if you just read the transcripts, you will see the circular logic that they use to try and justify what it is that they're doing. So Steve Bannon, he starts out by saying that, Trump is a divine instrument and the 22nd Amendment doesn't matter and we'll find ways about that. Then he gets to the middle where it's just like, no, the American people will decide and they want Trump because we need to finish the job. And then no, he's a divine instrument again and we have to use him as this tool and he's this imperfect tool. And so you listen to their rationale, and the thing about blind faith, right, as it pertains to religion, is that it has you believe things that you can't actually see, that may never firmly materialize. And there is this, and that is also, it's true for religion and it's true for cults, right? This blind faith, this idea of this tool, right? This tool of Donald Trump that they will weaponize against the the rest of us, right? And that they justify his behavior by saying that God sends us these imperfect tools, and it is our choice but to use them, right, to the betterment, to the furtherment of our ideology, of our purpose, which is harm and extraction, right? That they believe that they have been anointed by God as these white nationalists to do what? To reap harm, right? So it's so fascinating because they're the most anti-Christian, anti-American, anti-constitution people that you could ever have in charge of a country. And when you listen to them, you're just like, how do you even follow your own bullshit? From beginning to end of that conversation, I'm so grateful for that reporter, the woman, I don't know who the man was that was just sitting there, but the woman who was just like, for 20 minutes, we've been listening to you go like round in this carousel. How does this make sense?
And British reporters, that's why, well, they've become more complacent. But back in the day, you know, when it came to Europe, European reporters actually have a robust back and forth with their politicians. If it was an American reporter, they'd be like, okay, well, news at 11. Or, oh, look at Joe Biden, he's old. They would just rolled on through. Their producer would have been like, keep going. But that type of challenging is good because she undermined him. And you saw his circular logic, right? It doesn't matter, folks, for these people. At the end, all
Yep.
Steve Bannon wants is power.
Yep.
And I think a reason why Steve Bannon is important, and I'm glad we're focusing on him. We forgot about him. He's human smegma. But the reason why he's important, and the reason why Stephen Miller, Mini Himmler, 4'10" budget Goebbels is important, is they are the architects, if you will, of this MAGA movement. And they tell you out loud the plot. They can't help it. They're true believers. And Steve Bannon has said for 10 years, Donald Trump, he said Viktor Orban was Trump before Trump. He said our goal is for America to be like Hungary. Viktor Orban, the right-wing authoritarian racist leader of Hungary. You know, he said Orban was Trump before Trump. What does that mean? What does that mean that Orban was Trump before Trump? What does it mean that Hungary is their model? What's happening in Hungary? Oh, single party rule, control over the judiciary, control over the media, capture of the culture, capture of public education. Viktor Orban's party controls widespread xenophobia, anti-immigrant sentiment, Islamophobia. I wonder what you want to do with America. And then Steve Bannon and Stephen Miller, the book they always promote, Danielle, I always want to remind people this openly. The book that Stephen Miller and Steve Bannon promote to reporters. Hey, Steve, we know you read a lot. What's the book you recommend? One of my favorite books is Camp of the Saints. For those who don't know what Camp of the Saints is, it is a racist tract written by a French white nationalist. It's a novel that imagines a brown horde overtaking Europe, right? It's a dystopian fictional novel that now stands next to Turner Diaries. Oh, you know, that radicalized Timothy McVeigh to do the worst terrorist bombing after 9/11 at the Oklahoma City bombing, right? That white nationalist tract. That and Camp of the Saints are the two fictional books that are canon for white nationalists. This is what Steve Bannon openly promotes as one of his favorite novels and recommends everyone read. Danielle, like what more do the dumbass people in power in this country need to see? Sorry for me being so blunt.
No, but it's true because I don't, I'm unclear, right? I'm unclear about the amount of detail that they are offering in their plans. Like we've always referred to them as, the Bond villain. Let me tell you what it is that I'm going to do up front. And I'm like, they wrote you a 900-page plan. Right? They are telling you Donald Trump is going to run again in 2028. Weekend at Bernie's, be damned. We are going to hold this man up as a prop and pray to God that he doesn't drop dead. And in the meantime, we're going to accelerate the violence, accelerate the policies, go to war with as many places as possible, destabilize America, make you live in fear and in trauma. And then, we'll be able to continue our reign because you will be exhausted, beat down, terrified, and won't know which way is up.
Or in jail.
That's the plan. And I want to bring this up, right? Because I want to talk about the destruction of the White House for a minute. Because earlier, I think it was yesterday or the day before, I played on the Danielle Moody Show a clip of Jessica Tarlov. and from the five, the lone Democrat that is there. And she said, the destruction that is happening of the East Wing is important. It's disgusting that Donald Trump is going to build this gaudy ballroom that is double the size of the actual White House and just ruin the. If I'm so sad for people that have never been to Washington D.C., that have never seen the White House, because like, who knew that that it was never going to look the same moving forward? And she said, while this is important, I actually want to talk about the things that we're missing in this distraction. Donald Trump didn't put up a tent on purpose for the destruction of this, because he wanted to cause as much harm as possible, because that's what abusers do. But in the meantime, what is happening while we're paying attention to this destruction, Waj? Oh, I don't know. Inflation being back at 3%, the fact that we are in the second largest government shutdown that has no signs of ending anytime soon, the fact that our former allies are now creating trade partnerships that have nothing to do with us, that you're listening to presidents of Singapore and the prime minister in Canada talk about a post-US world, right? And what that means for us. And so all of these things are happening, and all of these leaders are coming out and speaking about the fall of the American empire. And our latest distraction is the destruction of this building, which, by the way, has caused me immense grief this week. So I'm not taking it lightly, but I'm saying, like, the distraction of it all and what is happening in the meantime, right? It's like your head is on a swivel to try and continue to stay like focused on what is happening and how these nations are beginning to see us and what is happening with our economy. And it's just, it's wild and it's exhausting.
The trashification of America. This is what happens when you let white supremacy take over, when you don't confront it, when you don't confront greed and racism. Eventually, it bit us in the ass, folks, and we didn't even last 250 years. 250 years. We could have had everything. We could have been great. We could have given people health care. We could have been number one in education. We could have been number one. We
Yep.
still are number one in the economy, but we're weakened. Everyone knows. Danielle, I don't know if we shared this, but about 2 weeks ago, I don't think we shared this, but 2 weeks ago, there's an annual ranking of passports, the strength of
Yeah. Oh,
passports.
no, we did share it.
Oh, we did.
But remind people.
The most desired passports, right? And the most desired passports also, it's not conclusive, but it could also, give you certain trends. For the first time in 20 years, no, first time in 40 years, United States fell out of the top 10 most desired passports.
Yep.
It's now number 12. Number one is Singapore. And the analysis showed that shows a weakening. The fact that United States is now number 12 as most desired passport, tied with Indonesia. I think Singapore is number one, South Korea, Japan are the top three. Furthermore, what we've shown, and we've seen the trends here on Democracy-ish, travel to the United States of America has fallen. We're going to lose up to what, $40 to $50 billion in tourism revenue. Measles has gone up. Foreign students are not coming here, and they're not welcome here. H-1B visas.
Right.
Now Donald Trump says, "Grift, give me 100,000, and you could be in. I'll give you an H-1B visa." Folks, Silicon Valley is run thanks to immigrants who are here on H-1B visas, which is why even Elon Musk, the white nationalist, is like, "We need the EU H-1 visas because the Americans are too stupid, and we need the ones coming from overseas." But they don't care because it's Stephen Miller, right? So people aren't coming to this country. The U.S. brand, and yes, you know how you do brand rankings? The U.S. also has a brand. When Biden was president, it was plus 15. Last month, under Trump, it was negative 3.5. So he's literally turned America into the shitter, like he does everything. This is a man who was given $400 million by his racist rich daddy. He squandered it. He multiple bankruptcies, bankrupted 2 casinos, got bailed out due to his wealth, his whiteness, and his celebrity. And now you allow this racist white trash, a gluttonous piece of shit into the White House, and you get this. He's turning White House into this gaudy, vulgar recreation of Mar-a-Lago. And I sit there and I go, I'm at that point now, Danielle, because I'm 40. I'm going to turn 45 soon. I got 3 kids. It's going to get worse. You know,
Like your age is gonna get worse, or just?
well, I mean, I got less years ahead of me than behind me, but like everything in America is going to get worse
No,
before it
I
gets
hear
better.
you.
I know people don't like hearing that. So I'm just pacing myself, Danielle. I'm like, there's a part of me that drinks my chai and I say like white people and rich people, we told you. And also that includes rich desis and black folks and Asians. We told you. I'm going to take care of myself. I'm going to take care of my family. I'm going to take care of my community. I'm going to take care of those who are fighting the resistance. I really mean this. And of course, we're going to do what we're going to do, Danielle, to help this country. But my priority, I told folks, is this is going to be a long walk. It's going to get far worse. People still don't know the damage. They haven't felt the damage. I got to take care of myself, my family, my community, and those who get it. And then as everything else goes down, we
Yeah.
have to make sure, Danielle, that we're okay. And I feel like, black folks have been through this for what, 300 years?
Yeah.
It's like, you literally are trying to kill us. We got to take care of ourselves.
You know, it was really interesting yesterday, on an episode of The Fire Pit, the interview series that I'm doing on Substack. I interviewed a friend of ours, Ellie Mistel.
Oh, yeah.
And I had Ellie on, and towards the end of the show, Ellie was just like, "Look, I've quit smoking. I've even lost a few pounds. I'm, working out." And he's like, "Because I want to outlive Trump." And he's just like, "And I want to outlive this regime." And he's just like, "But at the end of the day," he's like, "our people, black people, we will survive because we always survive, because that's the ancestry that we have running through our blood, right? Is this persistence and determination and, and thriving, finding ways to thrive in the most heinous and awful, god awful situations." And I think that you're right. People do need to pace themselves, right? Like, because when you look at lists like this, right? When you look at the corporations that are literally paying for the destruction of our country so that they can make more money than they will ever spend in their lifetime, their kids' lifetimes, their grandkids' lifetimes, and so on and so forth. When you look at this list, many of us are using the very equipment that Apple. I'm on the computer right now, the laptop, and the phone, and the this and the that, and you see, right, like how capitalism is in bed with white nationalism and has always been, right? Like, this is not new. We're just showing you, right? And I'm just like, you might as well put the fucking logos up on the ballroom so
Absolutely.
that we absolutely know who sold America out, right? Because in 100 years, much like much the same way that corporations were in bed with Hitler and then wanted to wash that away some decades and decades removed, this is exactly what these corporations are going to try and do 50, 60, 100 years if they exist. They're going to try and whitewash you and say, "Oh, no, we didn't do these things. Oh, but it was the times. It was whatever." Nah, you sold us out because 10% of the wealthy own 100%, right? Like, the 10% wealthiest families own the world, right? And that's what they care about sustaining. So,
But I will say this, Danielle, to your point, at the Nuremberg trials, guess what? A lot of these industrialists, they were tried for war crimes. People didn't forget. A lot of these industrialists, all these corporate giants, right, of the time in Hitler's Germany, in which they laid out the red carpet for fascism, they were tried for war crimes. Others rebranded, like, Hugo Boss and Adidas and others. But and history remembers them, right? Not in a positive way. They try to whitewash it. I think there'll be a reckoning coming. People say, "Oh, it'll be just a reckoning for racists and white supremacists and the Stephen Millers." I think these corporations, some of them are going to have a reckoning as well. Like, I don't know when,
yeah,
but
I don't know
probably
when.
not in our lifetime. But these billionaires, because the rage against the billionaires is rising, Danielle, and that seems to
Yes,
be the
that is
one thing.
true. That is true.
The one thing that unites a lot of people is rage against Epstein, the Epstein files. They want a release of the Epstein files. And this rage against billionaires seems to be bipartisan. And I'm just going to, I don't know if I'm going to be alive to see Americans figure it out, that this has been the plan all along, that they pit black workers against white workers. They pit white people against immigrants, but it's all of them drinking all of our milkshake. And with Donald Trump, I think it's so egregious, right? The fact that him and his friends are making billions of dollars, creating this $300 million White House ballroom. When will people figure it out?
I mean, and who is he modeling the ballroom after, Waj? I'm
Oh,
just jumping ahead. Like, who is the ballroom being modeled after?
a Putin.
Yeah, Up top, folks, that is the ballroom at the Winter Palace in St. Petersburg, Russia. Below is Donald Trump's ballroom. Like, it is just, you can't get any better. And when asked, right, what is the priority of Donald Trump right now? Like, what's his priority?
Yes.
Thank you, Caroline.
Thank you.
In addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden
I'm going
patio,
into the back. Sorry. Go ahead.
in addition to the ballroom and the Rose Garden patio, is the president looking at any other renovations or significant kind of projects here at the White House?
Not to my knowledge, no. But he's a builder at heart, clearly, and so his heart and his mind is always churning about how to improve things here on the White House grounds. But at this moment in time, of course, the ballroom is really the president's main priority.
Really, the president's main priority right now is the ballroom, and not what was just announced while we were coming on air, which is, inflation. Inflation is back, folks, at 3% and climbing. And I want to play this clip because, again, I think that it's really important. I want to sandwich it between bobblehead Barbie saying where the president is a builder and his priority is this gaudy fucking ballroom that no one but his donors and him are ever going to see. But this is where his priority is, as opposed to,
It is not just in your head. Food prices are indeed climbing.
We go around between Walmart and Aldi, which is right now one of the best options.
For father of two Alejandro Santana, it's about being a savvy shopper. FIU grad student Maisie Daughtry and her boyfriend say they budget for around $100 per week for groceries.
Wow.
When you're in school, it's hard to find groceries on a budget.
From June 2024 to June 2025, the Bureau of Labor Statistics tracked price increases across all grocery categories. Meat, poultry, fish, and eggs skyrocketed by 5.6%, with eggs alone soaring a staggering 27.3%.
Wow.
With food prices climbing at 3%, they are outpacing the overall inflation rate, which sits at 2.7% according to the Consumer Price Index.
This is what they voted for, to feel great again. You voted for this. I mean, I don't know what else to say. Look at this. Look at this.
That's it. So the national debt is at, I don't even know, is that $38 trillion?
$1 trillion increase in 2 months. Unsustainable. Unsustainable. My God. Where are the deficit hawks? Where are the deficit hawks of the Republican Party, right? Okay, what do you got here? You got another one, right?
Oh, yeah. No, because I have this, because this is what is important. I got to play this video, right? This is the video that came out, produced not by the Democrats, right? But produced by Canada. And folks, I want you to listen really hard and say to yourself, God, that voice sounds familiar.
When someone says, let's impose tariffs on foreign imports, it looks like they're doing the patriotic thing by protecting American products and jobs. And sometimes for a short while it works, but only for a short time. But over the long run, such trade barriers hurt every American worker and consumer. High tariffs inevitably lead to retaliation by foreign countries and the triggering of fierce trade wars. Then the worst happens. Markets shrink and collapse, businesses and industries shut down, and millions of people lose their jobs. Throughout the world, there's a growing realization that the way to prosperity for all nations is rejecting protectionist legislation and promoting fair and free competition. America's jobs and growth are at stake.
Canada's troll game is on point, and you got the World Series between Toronto Blue Jays and Los Angeles Dodgers. I'm from the Bay Area. I'm genetically predisposed to rooting against LA. I'm sorry, so I have to go for the Blue Jays. But if Canada beats, I know people might be like, it's just culture. Culture's important. If Canada beats Dodgers in the World Series after Canada beat America in hockey and friggin' Carney's trolling Donald Trump, And now today, folks, as a result of this ad, yesterday, Donald Trump had a meltdown on Truth Social and said, we're not going to do any more trades with Canada. It's over. And then Carney today was like, all right, we're just going to go to China. And by the way, America, you've isolated yourself. So the rest of the world is calling Donald Trump out on his self-destructive policies. The Liberation Day of April has led to a trade war in which we have punched ourselves in the face. As Danielle just showed you, everything is more expensive. I went to Five Guys yesterday for a fundraiser for our public school. And so, I mean, I eat halal, but I'm like, oh, I'll just go to Five Guys with my kids because it's for their public school. And my kids were like, give me a small burger. I'm like, sure. Danielle, I looked at the prices and I went to the other parents. I'm like, yo, is this like normal to pay $13 for like a small hamburger? And they're like, this is wild. We're only here because of the fundraiser. Like, folks, it was like for 3 small cheeseburgers, it cost me like $40 and with like 2 small fries and 2 drinks. Now you all tell me, am I just cheap? I know it's always been expensive, but I've seen prices go up on everything, especially meat. You tell me, Danielle.
So I'll do you one as well. Last weekend, my girlfriend and I went to this smorgasbord that is held in Prospect Park on Sundays, right? And it's like all of these different food vendors come out and it's in the park and it's lovely and families come and all of these things. So we're going around and we're saying like, oh, what do we want to grab to eat? Why were like small, I don't know, roti rolls with like a bit of chicken inside was $15.
What?
A Jamaican patty was $10. And and like a drink, if you wanted like an alcohol drink or a glass of wine, was $15. And I'm saying to myself, if you are a family of 4, my girlfriend and I were like, if you are a family of 4, because we saw some families and we're like, there's no way. They just came to kind of see, but I guarantee you they packed picnic and they packed food. And my girlfriend was saying, I remember as a young kid, we would go as a family to like Great Adventure or go to like whatever. And she's like, and I would always be mad because my mom would pack like our fried chicken and like pack a picnic that we would eat with our family, like in the car or like in whatever area. And then we would go into the park. And I said, because who the fuck? What? And I'm like, that was in the 80s. So now who is going to be able to buy 4 cheeseburgers at $15 a cheeseburger? Fries, a drink, like Waj, like you might like that's $50.
It really hit me. I was like
at a fast food restaurant.
It was, I'm telling you, folks, I'll tell you exactly what the order was. 2 mini for the kids, mini meals. So this cheeseburger this big. All it was pathetic. It was, I saw my kids.
A bun and a
yeah, that's literally
a bun, a patty, and
it was
and a
terrible.
Slice of cheese.
Okay, fries. Their fries are good. Small fries and a drink. I got 2 of those, the mini ones for the children. And then my other daughter's like, bye, I want a mini burger. So I got 2 mini meals and a mini burger. That's it. You all got my order. $40 for that. And I'm sitting there and it was so like egregious that I talked to other parents about it. They're like, yeah, man, this is crazy. Meat right now, folks, beef is at its highest cost right now.
Yep.
I have another friend who's owns a restaurant. She was saying this, see this meal right here? This is one of the top 3 most preferred dishes that are of our customers. I lose money on this. I'm only keeping it as a kind of a loss because people come in and they like it and they like the business. But meat, so this was in the summer, Danielle, 2 months ago, and I was in the Bay Area. And she says people don't realize how much we're struggling. So how long can restaurants maintain this, right? Because there's only so long that restaurants can keep the prices that their customers are used to. But if beef prices and everything else is going up, they're eating those costs. What's going to happen, Danielle? You and I aren't economists, but I'm a simple English major.
There's only so long that they're going to also be able to either eat the cost or pass the cost on to the consumer.
There you go.
And eating out at a restaurant, just FYI, that is a privilege and a choice, right? And so when you are now deciding between groceries, your pharmacy needs, and gas in your car, and all of these things, guess what you're going to cut out? You're not going to be going to the Five Guys. You're not going to be going to the local restaurant that maybe you would treat the family to on one day of the week. You're not going to these places. And so then what happens? What happened during COVID, right? When we were not able to eat out, all of these small business owners, all of these places begin to crumble. And then the economies that were built around them, the ecosystems that were built around those businesses also begin to collapse, right? So it's none of it is sustainable.
Oh, and
None
the
of it
government
is
shut down right
sustainable.
now.
Huh?
Government shut down and people aren't being paid.
Right. And so on top, I played a video earlier in the week, Waj, and it was a food bank over in the DMV by you in Maryland that had just done a day solely for federal workers. The line was wrapped around the place. They had prepped for about, I think it was maybe 150 or 140 families to come through. It was 370 plus. Right. And so now they're looking for donations from the churches, from other places, because they can't keep up with the demand. And that was a day strictly for federal workers so that they could help them out.
All part of the plan. The top 1% of this country has as much wealth as the middle class. The top 1% has as much wealth as the middle class. Billionaires are getting more money. They're going to get permanent tax cuts. And folks, it's still 2025. When these tax cuts happen for the billionaires, they're going to take $1 trillion out of Medicaid. And what we've said on this show is people are going to die. Hunger Games, 6 months.
I mean, and then I want to fast forward to this because, somebody just put it in the chat and I want to say, we're paying attention to it, which is this. This story broke this week. Amazon plans to replace more than 500,000. They're looking at up to 600,000 jobs, not with immigrants, but with robots.
That was the plan.
And this is what I want to say. So this is what New York Times writes. Over the past 2 decades, no company has done more to shape the American workplace than Amazon. In its ascent to become the nation's second largest employer, it has hired hundreds of thousands of warehouse workers, built an army of contract drivers, and pioneered using technology to hire, monitor, and manage employees. Now, interviews and a cache of internal strategy documents viewed by the New York Times reveals that Amazon executives believe the company is on the cusp of its next big workplace shift, replacing more than 500,000 jobs with robots. Amazon's U.S. workforce has more than tripled since 2018 to almost 1.2 million. But Amazon automation team expects the company can avoid hiring more than 160,000 people in the United States it would otherwise need by 2027. That would save about 30 cents on each item that Amazon picks, packs, and delivers to customers. Executives told Amazon's board last year that they'd hoped robotic automation would allow the company to continue avoiding adding to its U.S. workforce in the coming years, even though they expect to sell twice as many products by 2033. That would translate to more than 600,000 people whom Amazon didn't need to hire. And just FYI, it's not just the people that they don't need to hire, it's the people that already have the jobs. Wash.
This is the plan. Howard Lutnick, in the Trump administration, a billionaire, openly admitted it. He goes, yeah, don't worry. We're just going to replace everyone with AI robots and workers. Said a couple of months ago on television. This is the end game of the oligarchy of techno-fascists. They're like, yeah, we don't need these workers. And not only do they want robot workers, they want robot soldiers. So it's going to be robot workers and robot soldiers to keep all of us in check. You think I'm joking, folks? Just look at the investment in AI by the military-industrial complex. I'm not joking about this. So we're all going to be a servant class, barely able to survive, just getting by on scraps, exhausted, overworked, tired, and then we're going to be replaced. And if we get out of line, guess what? Private prisons. $180 billion to ICE, in addition to creating more ICE agents, having one of the largest armies in the world. People are also forgetting that $180 billion went to create new detention centers and prisons. They're empty right now, Danielle. How do they make money? By housing bodies. Whose bodies? Our bodies, right? So this is the future of the broligarchy. The 1% will make more money. The rest of us will be their servants. Meanwhile, they're not interested in saving us. They've told us they're not interested in saving us. They think Earth's done. It's finished. What they're interested in is leaving us. And they're interested in going to Mars. I'm not making this up. They're openly telling you this. And they believe that they are the chosen people with the chosen seed. And so they will populate the new species through their superior seed. I'm not making this up, folks. This is the plan of white babies. They want more white babies. Last week, when Donald Trump said he's going to make fertility more affordable, I said I posted on Blue Sky, Danielle. I said more white babies, and people are like, "No, why? This will help people." I'm like, "Sure, just watch." And then RFK came out in his conference and said essentially that we need to have more babies. And Elon Musk is like, "More babies, right?" So the end game is the rest of us are their servants. We work until we die. We die. We get replaced with other workers. Meanwhile, AI does the rest of the work, and robot workers. We're put in check by ICE and military AI. If we get out of line, we go to prison. And then the master race is going to figure out a way to download their consciousness into AI or be future techno like robots so they could live forever and live forever on Mars. You think I'm joking? You're not paying attention. Listen to Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, and Curtis Yarvin. Daniel.
I mean, here's the thing. Much like, in Andor, much like in Elysium, much like in real life, none of these empires last, right? Like none of these fascist regimes last. And we need to decide, right, whether we are on the short path or the long path. But all of them eventually crumble because they overplay their hand. I think that Steve Bannon saying the quiet part out loud. I think the investments into ICE agents that now a third of them can't even do the job because they can barely do a fucking push-up or a sit-up and they're failing the physical fitness tests. I think that AI, which on top of the Amazon announcement, Meta announced that they were laying off 600 people in their AI facility because guess what? The AI gold rush is a bunch of hype that they are hyping up each other while they're ruining our environment. And folks, I did an entire segment on this on the Danielle Moody Show 2 days ago about how AI is not only ruining the environment, also it's not working in the way that they thought that it was. And so all of these $1 billion of investment that they are making, they've pretty much set AI to be the new banks that are too big to fail. So they'll just keep throwing money after it. Meanwhile, they're laying people off because it's not producing in the way that they want. And the usage of AI is at a plateau right now, which is why they are trying to turn AI into this erotic partner. And they're trying to get people hooked into the eroticism surrounded by AI to create this frictionless environment and existence. It's all a fucking game, right? To numb the people, to keep you either numb, to keep you down, to keep you oppressed while they build their awesome plan of replacing the rest of us. It is crazy. And it sounds as if we are nuts. It sounds as if Waj and I work for J.J. Abrams. But like the reality is, like, this is the plan. This is the plan. This is the shit that they talk about
openly.
Openly. Right? And people are like, oh, that's so far off. It's so far off. No, it's not. No, it's not. This is their plan right now to replace people. This is why they don't give a shit about healthcare. This is all part of the eugenics
Climate
plan.
change.
Climate change. Don't care. Healthcare. Don't care. Some of you will die out. The rest of you will be enslaved. Like this, that is the plan. And the oligarchs will oversee.
Can I some breaking news based on that they don't care? Washington Post exclusive just came out a couple of minutes ago. Average Obamacare premiums are set to rise by how much percent? Want to take a guess?
I thought it was 40%.
30%.
Yeah.
The price increase affecting up to 17 million Americans who buy coverage on the federal marketplace are by far the largest annual premium increases in recent years. Oh, what we do for white supremacy. Was it worth it?
Was it
Was
worth
it
it? But
worth it?
folks, we will run you through some good things that are happening before we close out today, because otherwise you may jump off a cliff. So Waj, break down what is happening in your neck of the woods in Virginia and what the folks are doing there to combat what will certainly be the gutting of Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act that allows full-blown gerrymandering and the preservation of whiteness. But how are some states trying to push back?
So some good news, folks. We wanted to end on the good news, even as everything is going terrible and Donald Trump is pardoning criminals and indicting his critics and essentially going full-scale authoritarian. We're seeing pushback. It's a little too late, but nonetheless, we needed it. Virginia, folks, right here. I just want to say something before I talk about this. You know, in the DMV area, people think about it. People go and work at where? The government. Look how many families are affected. The government is shut down. And this is before Doge. So you got a whole bunch of people, Danielle, who've lost their jobs. You got a whole bunch of people right now who are government employees right now who aren't being paid, Danielle, right? They aren't being paid. So you had a chance here in Virginia, especially with the controversy with Jay Jones and his texts and his tweets, right? That he was going to lose to Miaris, the Republican. But Jay Jones is actually very competitive right now as he is going for the AG race, and it's tightening up. And it might just be that there's a trifecta here, where the Democrats get the governorship and become the lieutenant governor and the AG. Let's see. And the reason for that, folks, is guess what? Not a smart idea to shut down the government in a place like the DMV, where so many people are dependent upon the government, right? And Virginia, right now, the Democrats are like, all right, mother effer, you're going to gut the Voting Rights Act, which they're going to do. You're going to gut the Article 2 of it, which is going to, as Danielle said, help Republicans probably gain 12 to 15 seats, which it might be a wrap after that, folks. But Virginia's like, okay, we'll redistrict. And check this out. They could draw a rock-solid 9-2 gerrymander, flipping 3 seats, strong enough to hold even in the 2021 gubernatorial election. Every single seat counts. So some people might say, 3, but imagine if you just add it up, Daniel. 3 here, 5 from
5
California,
here.
few from New York, a few from Illinois, right? It might counter
The 19 to 29 that the Supreme Court decision will immediately grant.
And also, I want to add one more data point. A poll came out yesterday. Democrats are +9.
Yes.
Heading up to 2026. That alone, even if that alone, Danielle, or if it increases, could be enough for Democrats to take back the House.
I mean, here's hoping. And then you have California.
Home state.
California, Prop 50, right? Their special election has already brought in 3 million votes.
That's wild.
Reached faster than the 2024 general election. 3 million votes, which is absolutely extraordinary. And again, this is about Prop 50, which is allowing for Newsom to be able to add seats, to be able to do his redistricting. And that was to counter Texas's redistricting that was going to happen. Look, here's the thing that I will say. I don't want anybody to gerrymander. I just want one voice, one vote. That's all I want. Right? I don't want the fucking electoral college. I want you to be able to vote. I want the person that wins the most votes to win. That's it. But that's not where we are. So until we live in a country that does away with gerrymandering and where you live and who gets to decide the districts and who gets to draw, and choose their voters, then I need every single democratically led state to step up to the plate and do so quickly.
I mean, we start off the show with Steve Bannon literally telling you the supervillain plot that Donald Trump is not going to leave. And Steve Bannon said, we'll get to it. We'll tell you how we're going to do it. Donald Trump already told you. One of the ways is J.D. Vance runs. J.D. Vance runs for president. He has Donald Trump be his vice president. Then J.D. Vance steps down after winning and makes Donald Trump the president. You know who said that? Donald Trump. All right. They don't they'll find a justification. Like the Supreme Court, it's like Play-Doh. They'll find a way to what their desired path is, folks. And so once they've told you that, and Donald Trump says, I want 150 seats to gerrymandering, and Texas and all these red states are following, and then he says, mail-in ballots, it's a fraud. They're telling you the plot. So my response is, Danielle, like you, gerrymandering, not good. But we're in a desperate situation where we have friggin' violent, illegal authoritarians willing to use any criminal means necessary for forever power. What are you going to do?
I mean, and here's another example of what are you going to do? We have masked agents running our streets, kidnapping people, terrorizing Black and brown people. And this week, after the raid on Canal Street, that we saw New Yorkers instantly fight
That was
back
dope.
against ICE, and then the following day hold a spontaneous march and protest. Now, Tish James, our attorney general here, who has just pled not guilty to Donald Trump's bullshit indictment of her, launched a public portal where residents can upload photos and videos of ICE operations for investigations. It is brilliant. All democratically elected AGs should be doing the same in their state, because we need a record of the violence and the abuse that they are waging against citizens. We need to have the evidence. We need to understand what is happening, who these people are, and it be collected. And that's what she's doing.
Hold them accountable, folks. And I think it's been time for Illinois to unleash the Chicago police against ICE agents who are using unlawful force. They have every right to. ICE is using unlawful force against Chicago residents, and the Chicago police have the authority to hold them accountable, right? And then I want this country to decide, do you want to back ICE or do you want to back the blue? And that will be an awesome fight for the rest of us, especially people of color. We'll just sit there eating our popcorn. All right, white supremacists. All right, MAGA. You said you want to black the blue. All right, ICE or Chicago police, you decide. So I think it's time for these mayors and these governors to tell these local law enforcement, hey, they're tear gassing you. They're tear gassing your people.
They shot a U.S. Marshal in L.A. They shot a U.S. Marshal this week in L.A.
And they're detaining you. They said, oh, we thought that was a undocumented immigrant. It's like, no, bro, I'm a freaking citizen. I'm a police officer. So if they're doing that to your blue brothers and sisters, how much are you going to take? So that's my take. I feel like we have to hold them accountable, and I feel like, inshallah, when we have our version of the Nuremberg trials, I want these people tried, man. I want Stephen Miller, Kristi Noem, all these folks. And by the way, just because you wear a badge doesn't mean you are kind of above the law, but technically you aren't above the law. And so if you're carrying out illegal orders and doing illegal stuff, guess what? When it came to the Nuremberg trials, that wasn't a defense, Danielle. Oh, I was just a soldier.
Yeah. And then we'll close out. This is the final bit of news, which is Jack Smith. So Jack Smith has written, and his lawyer have written a letter to GOP lawmakers offering to testify in an open hearing because of the lies, they say mischaracterizations, that are being spread by MAGA about Smith's investigation, which, by the way, didn't happen until 2 years after Donald Trump left office. Why? Because of Merrick Garland giving Jack Smith a limited amount of time to open up an investigation when Donald Trump had already declared his candidacy for 2024. So he wants the ability to speak out. He has written the letter and says, I will do so in public so that, there's no one can mischaracterize what it is that I'm saying and what it is that I did. And there are no reasons for these malicious prosecutions that are happening whatsoever, because we had credible evidence that said crimes were committed, and it is my job to pursue them. So last thoughts to you. Why?
I love it. I'm like, you know what? If Donald Trump has nothing to hide, he has nothing to lose. Let Jack Smith say what he has to say in front of the American public, but they won't allow that to happen because they know Jack Smith has the goods. He's always had the goods. And I'm so glad you brought up Merrick Garland, one of the most useless people who will be remembered forever for helping normalize fascism and protecting these institutions for the sake of him and his friends, but at the cost of our democracy. That Merrick Garland. And also, I know people might not like hearing this. Joe Biden is responsible for that as well,
Yep.
because he could have and should have appointed someone with teeth. Donald Trump has not spent, nor will he spend, a single day in court for inciting a violent insurrection, for picking up the phone and trying to tamper with the Georgia elections, for literally stealing classified documents from the government. We still have no idea what he did with them, right? Did he share it with Putin? Like, why did he steal those classified documents? Why did he lie about it, right? And instead, he gets friggin' elected back to the White House, well, what remains of the White House, before he tore it up, the East Wing, and is going to spend $300 million to create a ballroom. Folks, I feel like, look, it's going to get worse before it gets better. Generational damage is here. If you think me and Danielle have been cray, you've been paying attention. Listen to their own words. They're revealing the supervillain plot. You got to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your family. You have to take care of your street. You have to take care of your health. It's a long walk. And so we have to do our best to stay sane, to stay healthy, to stay grounded, and also then mobilize allies. Because the one positive here is we have the numbers. We have the numbers, and they are weakening, folks. And more people are realizing, oh shit, I got played. Just as we were talking earlier today, a poll came out that said all the Latino voters who went for Trump have left. Now they're back to the 2016 numbers. Leopards eats faces. What are you going to do? But now people realize, I didn't vote for this. And we're like,
You did,
we
actually.
told you. But it is what it is. And you win by addition, not through subtraction. So you had 7 million people come out for the No Kings rally. The Epstein Files, Virginia Giuffre's book, is sold out everywhere. Over 75% of Americans want the release of the Epstein Files. Danielle, he can't escape it. He cannot escape the Epstein Files. The economy is going to the shitter. This country still worships the color green more than the color white. So it's going to get worse. And unfortunately, because we're an American, we're spoiled, Danielle. I hope I'm wrong, but the sad part is we're masochists. We need to suffer a lot more before we realize, oh shit, it's bad. I mean, I lived through the Bush years. It took 6 years until people were like, this George Bush might be bad. And then we had Barack Obama. So we're still in it. It's going to get worse, but we're building. Someone said resistance has the momentum. Correct. We don't know how the story is going to end. Everyone, folks, everyone has a role to play. 10 toes down. Fascists come for everyone. You cannot hide with your Tesla and your golf clubs and your suburban homes. Fascists come for everyone. So join us before it's too late. That's my final word.
Amazing. And I just want to say to all of the folks, again, this is independent media. We are able to sustain and do this work through your generosity and your donations. So thank you so much to Barb, to Susan, as always. That is not just a fantastic moderator, but gives money into our collection plate every week, every day. DJ Uncle Mark, thank you so much. Mona, Julie, Zetsky, Jimmy, Catmlow, Josh, Mountain Heather, E. Schwartz, as always, Aylin, Linda, BB, Tarabeth, Cantlow, Susan again, JJ Mack, Pass the Joints podcast, Tiger Claw. Thank you so very much. Each and every dollar that you donate allows us to continue doing the work that we do and that you deserve. And if you are on and watching us on our Substacks, do consider subscribing. It costs absolutely nothing to this YouTube channel, to Waj's YouTube channel, to our Substacks, because we don't put our content behind a paywall. Waj is at the left hook. I am at the Damn Digest. And if you have a few bucks, do consider becoming a paid subscriber. But know that you will never, ever miss anything that we have to say or offer, because we believe that critical thinking dies behind a paywall.
And for those who are late, this will be up in about 2 minutes on Danielle Moody's YouTube channel. And we're trying to get Danielle to how much? 50,000 now?
50,000, 40,000. Just keep the likes and comments coming, folks.
It goes a long way.
Grow.
And then I, in about 2 minutes, for those who want to know how crypto works and the great crypto scam and how Trump and the oligarchy are using it, and abusing it to make money. Folks, another big piece of news yesterday was, as he's going after Letitia James and James Coney and ISIS terrorizing Americans, he just pardoned the co-founder of Binance, a dude who was money laundering and helping, drug trafficking and sex trafficking,
child
terrorism,
sex abusers, terrorists, traffickers, all of these things, birds of a feather. And he is a very deep investor in world liberty, which is where the Trumps have their crypto meme business, their other grift.
Birds of a feather, crypto together. So Cy Cantrell, who's really good, is going to break all of it down. If your brain is like, what is happening? I'm going to have her on in 2 minutes. She's going to break this all down.
All right. Head over to the Left Hook, folks. Thank you so much for joining us. We will be back on Monday, 12 p.m. Eastern, and this will be up shortly. And as Waj always says, be kind, be thoughtful, and don't
be a fascist.